Welcome to the Aaron Werner podcast on iCode Media. We welcome back two previous guests, Trevor Maurer and Dr. Alan Chung. Alan recently worked with team and Refractional CFO to analyze his practice data since bringing on virtual team members, and the numbers are incredibly impressive. We talk a little bit about those numbers, but what we really talk about is the impact of virtual team members on Alan's practice, on his patients, on his in-person staff members and team. So I hope you enjoy the conversation. As always, please share your thoughts, leave us a comment, share the episode, and if you're so inclined, leave us a 5-star review, and of course, support those who support us. I don't just recommend Peak Pro to my patients. I use it daily, and so does my whole family. Honestly, it's one of those rare products my wife and daughters all love. So much so they actually fight over who stole the tea tree cleanser, the peptide cream, or even the hyaluronic acid. I had no idea this would be the case when I introduced them to the Peak Pro products. But I've learned they're a great company to work with, and their lineup covers everything from daily eyelid hygiene to deep hydration. I highly recommend checking them out. We've got a special affiliate link in the show notes, and use code Warner for 25% off. The Myopia Collective. CooperVision and the AOA have partnered in a groundbreaking initiative to change the way optometrists in the U.S. treat children with myopia. The purpose of the Myopia Collective is to rally the profession of optometry and its allies to interrupt the status quo and elevate the new standard of care for children with myopia. Every individual is encouraged to become a member of the collective. By joining, you commit to taking action to help slow the progression of myopia in children. You'll receive updates and information about the collective and its work in the fight against myopia, gain access to educational opportunities and resources offered by the collective, and hear from change agents, the ambassador optometrists selected to serve as advocates for community and policy change that facilitates the mission of the collective. Scan the QR code or click on the link in the show notes to join the collective today. In the past, our focus revolved around prescribing MacuHealth or MacuHealth Plus to patients at risk of macular degeneration, while also recommending it to collegiate and professional athletes for enhanced contrast sensitivity in sports performance. However, this year's introduction of the Life Meter has been a game changer. The Life Meter revealed a concerning truth. Many of my patients have alarmingly low skin carotenoid levels, indicating potential deficiencies in essential body tissues like the retina and brain. Supported by over 30 peer-reviewed publications, Life Meter's accuracy, consistency, and effectiveness has been demonstrated across 2,000 subjects with diverse backgrounds. With this newfound insight, I can now have meaningful conversations about carotenoid levels with all of my patients, even those who may seem outwardly healthy. To learn more about this empowering technology, feel free to contact your MacuHealth representative or click on the link in the show notes. Together, let's optimize patient care and elevate their well-being. So, Alan, I just noticed that on our names, not that anybody watches the YouTube version of this, but on our names at the bottom of our pictures here, my full name is there, Trevor's full name is there, but you are just Alan. So you've reached the pinnacle of or the level of success where you don't have to have a last name, right? I
didn't know it was required.
There's Messi, right? There's Ozzy, there's Prince, Zendaya, and now Alan.
That's right.
You don't even need a last name.
Yeah.
It's I'm impressed. So.
You've invited me on a couple of times at this point.
Did I say your name right?
I just like Alan compared to Zendaya. I see it. That's where I
go. I'm really awkward in social media stuff, so my staff loves it, but they just force me. I give them 30 minutes every month. Once a month, you get 30 minutes. Say anything, I'll do anything.
Oh wow!
But yeah, hopefully people don't. I think people get a kick out of it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, very cool. Well, I'm excited to have both of you here, and you've both been on the podcast before, a couple of times. And Alan, you make cameos mostly because when I miss an episode, you're quick to remind me, and if I go over an hour, you scold me because it kept you on the treadmill longer. So,
every Thursday I go on a run. I need something to listen to.
So glad to have both of you guys back on the Aaron Werner podcast. But what really I want to talk about, Alan, is you in partnership with Team, put out a white paper and lists some pretty unbelievable numbers on your practice success. And part of me, a lot of me, is jealous because that's super cool to see those numbers. And so I want to just really dive into the kind of the story behind the story. So we'll link the article in the show notes so people can go through and read it. I don't want to read it here, but the numbers were impressive, right? And using virtual team members in the article, you call them virtual assistants. I like to call them virtual team members. And what your growth is, right? Your revenue growth was up 37.8% in 2024. Your service revenue was up almost 78% year over year. Your gross margin was up 77%. Your return on investment for a virtual assistant was 248%, which sign me up for that. If I can spend $1 and know I'm getting $248 back, that's a no-brainer. And then you talked about how your scribe saved you 15 to 20 clinician hours per week, which, if I'm doing the math right, on an 8-hour day, that's at least 2 full days of either you get to go back out on the golf course or see that many more patients. And then, but I really liked this one on the patient access, right? 20% increase in patient exams and a 15% increase in new patients on an established practice. So pretty impactful numbers. So let's, what was kind of just the overall, thought when you started using your virtual assistant and looked back and said, wow, this is pretty impressive.
It's Aaron, you're probably there along the whole way of this growth anyway, so I'm not sure why it's so surprising to you, because half the time I call you when I need help. I think in 2023, was this 2023? I believe it's 2023. Quarter 4 of 2023, so end of the year, I gave you a call and I was like, I'm struggling because I've had a lot of big staff turnover. I couldn't get a lot of consistency. And then I think you connected me with Team, because another thing, thank you, Trevor, because you guys are Vision Source partners. And at that time when I believe it was Nate who was on the phone, pretty much had like an hour therapy session. Nate just was like,
a lot. Yeah.
What are you struggling with? I go off on him, not in a bad way, but like, thank you, Nate, if he's listening. And from then on, we moved forward with Team, and Team allows us access to find talent that's not just in our area. No driving is needed, and it's kind of global too. And so we hired 2 virtual team members initially, and like any other team members, we kind of had to learn the ropes of onboarding these virtual team members, and obviously face some challenges. But once we found some rock stars, it's life-changing. Like I get to practice the way I want to practice. We go to school to see patients. We don't go to school to sit in front of a computer and type all our notes all day, every day. And then, and at this point, they've expanded my role to a point where I just go in and hang out with the patients and see the patients, take care of them. So, so I don't know if there's any specific thing you want me to talk about or say, but I can walk you guys through the systems that are currently using them for.
Let's start at the beginning. So you have just one virtual assistant or team member now. Do you have multiple?
I have 3 now.
You have 3 virtual team members, and And how many full-time equivalent doctors are you guys running in the practice?
It's probably about a 1.5. So
okay.
I'm an associate doctor who's there 3 days a week. And then I do another 3 days pretty much of patient care. So we kind of do like a little over one and something.
So like a 1.2, right? So you've got and every week you've got six clinic days, which could be the equivalent of somebody working Monday through Saturday. So you're just over a solo doctor practice. How many in-person staff members do you have?
I have 3 official in-person staff members.
So you have Well, do you have unofficial in-person staff members too? Like,
Well, my virtual team members. So technically, I have 6 people now.
got it.
So 3 in the office, 3 virtual.
3. Okay, yeah. I didn't want to get us in trouble with HR that we've got somebody working
No.
unofficially. We are in California, so okay. So you have 3 staff members in the office, and you have
Correct.
3 virtual team members that are
Correct.
not physical in the office, but
Correct.
just as much part of your practice team, group. Cool. How did you start off with 3? Did you start with 1 and build to 3? How did you get to that many?
So another full transparency thing, I've actually had a virtual assistant beforehand, a virtual team member before team as well. And one of the biggest challenges, and this is where that conversation with Nate happened, was it's really hard to manage virtual people, especially if you're the only doctor seeing patients 8 hours a day. How do I know what that virtual team member is actually doing? Or, the checks and balances are not as easy as just turning to someone that's in the office. A really good part of team is they give you a manager, but the downside is, or not downside, but you have to have minimum of 2 people starting. So I actually started with 2 virtual team members through team. One was more focused on the front desk, and then one was for the doctors to help with the scribing process, and at this point, a lot more than just scribing.
Got it. So you started with the scribe, which which makes sense, and then helping at the front desk. How quickly were you able to get those 2 individuals up and running so they, beyond the training phase when you had to handhold, because we have to handhold everybody, whether they're in person or virtual, or remote rather. So how long did it take to get you up and running, and what did you do that you said this was absolutely I need to do every time, and what were some of the pitfalls in that process that you learned?
So I think team has a really good onboarding process. They give the basic structures and of what is optometry, how to answer a phone, how basic etiquettes of being a front desk person or a scribe. So that takes about a 2-week process, I believe. Trevor can confirm that. That takes about a 2-week process, but at the end of the day, every office is still different. Every system is still different. So we probably took about 2 weeks on top of that, having the team members shadow our current staff. And it's pretty easy in terms of shadowing. They're just jumping on a Google Hangout, and they watch my real employees that are in the office, and they just hang out with that employee for like any other office, or any other new employee. And they follow the employee around, watch the employee, pull up a VSP chart, or pull up these insurances, go on Medicare, things like that. And that takes about a week or 2 before they get comfortable, and we kind of spot check them too, here and there. And that's the benefit of having the manager. I was saying, hey manager, I have Leslie right now, so hey Leslie, are they ready? And then she'll give me the thumbs up or thumbs down. Let's hold off a little bit, or no, they're great, we're good to go. I believe my current front desk person, she was like chomping at it. So I think we hired her, and within like a week, she was already up and running.
Nice.
She was already answering our phones a week in. So it really just depends on the individual, but that's where I really appreciate having Leslie as our manager, because she'll give me the thumbs up or thumbs down, or if she believes they're ready or not as well. So so usually about a month or so, I would say, is a good timeline for this new hire.
Cool. And Leslie's your manager who works with team, so she's managing directly. So she's your liaison between you and the virtual team members.
Yep.
Cool. Trevor, I don't think that, in fact, I don't even think I fully understand the back end training that you guys do with your virtual team members before they even get to the to where they're interviewing with Alan and I to see if they're the right fit. So what's the kind of real quick Reader's Digest version of when you find somebody who wants to be in this role, to the training that you guys give them before you throw them out to the field for us?
Yeah, great question. So we have a really robust recruiting arm here at Team. So when an office says, yes, I'd like a virtual assistant, we meet with that office and come up with a job description for what the office is looking for and what the role that specific virtual team member should be doing. And then we go out and we recruit like crazy. We have a really big network in Latin America. So Argentina and Brazil are primarily where we're recruiting from. And we're able to do about 200 hours of recruiting in about 5 to 7 business days.
Wow.
So we're able to come back and have 3 to 5 candidates that we think really meet those job descriptions for the office in that time frame. And it's so cool because, like Alan said, there's a lot of really qualified, great people that are chomping at the bit to start working and prove their worth right away. I think that, Aaron, you have some virtual team members too that are really great, and that's what we're looking for in that initial recruiting process, is somebody that can really just meet the needs of communication, that have good character, good personality fits that will fit in with the office. And so we really hone in on that to try to make sure that that's a good fit for the office. And then once the office says, this is the person I want to hire, this is who we're going to go with, then that account manager who's ever assigned to the office, so every office that's using a team member has an account manager with somebody that has optometric experience. So Alan, I know Leslie has years of working in optometry and knows the industry really well. And she's based here in the United States to really help make sure that team member, that international employee is up and running properly. We have something that's called Team University. And so it's a lot of modules and things like that talk about specifics on training for specific EHRs, specific soft skills that we're looking for that we found really resonate well with the people in Latin America. So that helps us in the recruiting process. Is we're able to get people that you trust on the phones a little bit easier, because I don't know if you guys have many Latin friends or somebody from Brazil, but they're pretty warm people, right? They're super friendly. They want to talk. They have really good English. And so they have a lot of those soft skills already going into it. But then we can hone in on, making sure that loops are closed, that appointments are being scheduled like through Weave and different software and systems like that. And so we have different training modules that work with that, as well as working with tools like Vision Source Learning, things like that too, where we can point offices in the right direction. Vision Source Learning has a lot of modules for training in-person employees, and a lot of that does relate to training a team member, an international employee. There's just some slight tweaks that we take in to make sure that they are successful. So I hope that answered some of your questions there, Aaron.
No, absolutely. It's it's funny when I first started working with a virtual assistant, and so I have 2 in the office. I'm not quite up to Alan's level yet, which is why I have 2 names on my picture, and he just has 1. But I was amazed at how many things we do in the office don't involve needing to be physically in the office, and how doing those tasks in the office really creates bottlenecks and people running into each other and stepping on each other. Alan and I are both in Southern California, San Diego, so real estate's a premium. And when you're trying to work, 1 to 2 doctors out of 1,400 or 1,800 square feet with a bunch of staff, you start running into each other. And so getting the work that doesn't need to be done in the office out of the office really creates a lot more of a flow efficiency. And I think, Alan, that was very much represented in 2 of your numbers that I want to hit on, because you saving 15 to 20 clinician hours per week is in having a 20% increase in patient exams. It is spectacular. So how did you decide what you wanted your virtual team members to do? How did you figure out what you wanted to offload from your physical employees to your virtual employees?
I think Aaron's seen me since the beginning. So when you first start out, it's like you do everything. It doesn't matter. You're the front desk. You're the optician, even though I bill half of the jobs wrong. You pre-test. You see the patient. You do the charting. You do send all the reports yourself. And then as you start growing and you start getting busier, your schedule is getting more full. Like I'm not worth it to answer every single phone call anymore. And it's not doing the patient the justice, as well as the experience isn't. It's all about the patient's experience in our office, right? So I think, I forgot whose stat this was, but have you guys ever looked at, like, I don't know if Aaron has or not, but have you guys ever looked at your phone call, like, answer rate?
Yeah.
I was horrified.
Let's not talk about things like that, Alan.
But like, if you think about it, there's 3 reasons for a patient to call your office. First one is, I want to schedule an exam. Second one is, hey, I'm checking on status on glasses or contacts. And third one is, how much does this cost? And every patient that you calls your office and that you don't pick up, guess what happens? They're calling someone else.
Yep.
Or they're just walking into, any corporate office location because they're going to pick up anyways. So we're kind of, without hitting these phone calls and answering to put them on the books, we're kind of letting patients just fall through the cracks in terms of that, in terms of the scheduling section. In terms of status updates, we can sign on any contact lens platform. We can, I believe my lab emails me a report of what's been shipped, what's processing. Like, you don't need a physical staff member in the office to answer the phone to check that. And I think a big part of what I was running into was, obviously, like Aaron said, we're smaller square footage, and we kind of run a lean ship. But if I'm with a patient, my technician's with a patient, my optician's with a patient, the phone rings, we're all looking at each other like that Spider-Man meme, and who's picking up, right? So that was my main push to do that. And then the second part was on the doctor side, like all the hours of charting, seeing the patient, then charting at home or charting at the end of the day. Now I don't even finalize any of my prescriptions. Like, I mean, I finalize it, but like I refract them, hit a button on my auto refractor, my virtual assistant copies it to the final, and then finalize my prescription for me. It's all about patient experience in terms of, like, I don't tell Dr. Tu. We're supposed to prescribe these contacts, but sometimes I like to give it to a patient to try, right? And then a lot of times in the past, I've asked my staff, okay, do you mind following up with Aaron to see if he likes these reveal contacts? And guess what? They get so busy that no one ever contacts the patient afterwards. So my staff, my virtual scribe, she has a whole Excel sheet where she just goes, all right, contact, finalize. Would you like to order contacts now? So it gives us extra hands to take care of patients better, as well as make the patient experience even better to choose to come to our office. So that's I play a big part in a bunch of our growth to how patients feel when they go through our office.
I like that. It's that you want to be able to be there when they want you, and to touch point with them there. And Trevor, you hit on something that I think, at least for me, resonated. So Teo and Mariana and Vina, who we have through the office, they love to be on the phone. Right? They're at least very good on the phone, right? Mm-hmm. If they don't love to be on the phone, they fooled me, because it sounds like they love to be on the phone. I don't have a single staff member who likes being on the phone. They hate answering the phone. That's not what they want to do. If they did, they would have applied for a call center and not with me. And so I think sometimes we put the wrong people in the wrong roles and expect a positive outcome from it, when and then we get frustrated when we don't get a good outcome for those who are tracking their phone metrics and looking at their phone metrics. So it's having somebody who wants to be there, who's good at it, who understands it, is super helpful. Plus, if you've ever timed how long it takes for somebody to make an appointment over the phone, that's not a 3-minute conversation. It's more like a 9 to 11 or 12-minute conversation. And if I have a tech who's answering the phone, making that tech is not pre-testing or working up the next patient during that time. An optician is not selling glasses during that time. My front desk person is not checking in somebody during that time. That's work that's not getting done that needs to get done physically that could be done elsewhere. And so being able to move that to where it's appropriate is super helpful. And we've it's kind of fun calling the office now and having one of them answer. And
that's awesome.
And because they at least for us, and it sounds like for you too, they are part of our real staff. They're part of our real team. And Trevor, I loved the name team until this conversation, and now there's too many teams I'm talking about.
I know.
Driving me nuts. But it's part of the greater they're part of the greater office team. We celebrate babies, we celebrate birthdays with them. Both of mine recently have had office ones have had babies. Not Mariana. She hasn't had a baby that I'm aware of. But it's Mariana, we talk about, we both like soccer or football because she's in Brazil. So my favorite Brazilian soccer team is rivals with hers. So we, have that kind of just fun, friendly banter back and forth. It's really neat to get to know these individuals and have them get to know us, no different than our in-person staff members. So Trevor, what do you see when you're working with offices and Alan aside, because he's clearly a rock star, but what are some of the challenges you see offices or things you see them, that make them super successful with the onboarding, or some things that you see that they struggle with that are kind of easy fixes if you just plan ahead on the front end?
Yeah. Great question, and I think we've talked a lot about this, Aaron. Like we do have these rock star offices that just they get it and they understand it and they just succeed a lot. I love this case study that we did with Alan. Like, it is my favorite thing to talk about right now. So I go to a lot of events. So your people here that might be seeing this might recognize me from some events, as well as you guys, but I talk about this case study that we did with you, and it's really significant numbers, right? Like, we're talking about nearly 40% revenue growth, right? Like, in a year's time, getting 20 hours of your life back a week. Like, this, it's like a big deal. It's cool stuff. And to one side note too is Jackson Pace at Refractional CFO, he really helped us out with this. I know that you both work with him a lot. But he really dove into the numbers to help us out with this case study. So just a big shout out to Refractional CFO for their help with this. But when people see those numbers, they sometimes it's easy to see those and expect those same results right away, right? Like it takes some work, right? Alan, I think that you came into this with some headaches from having a bad experience with virtual assistants before. And so knowing that it's not just a magic bullet that's going to happen right away, but it takes a lot of what you're talking about, Aaron, on, these are real life people and they're going to do whatever you need them to do and bend over backwards to really make your office go and to achieve these numbers, but they need to be trained up. We try to help in whatever we can. We find great people to get out in front of you. But it does take the work on the office, and I've mentioned that on here before. Is the offices that we've seen that have been really successful do have a dedicated person in the office to make sure that things are going right. That there is somebody that is monitoring KPIs and that there's set goals for that virtual assistant, just as you would with any other employee. Like you've really emphasized here, Aaron, as much as you can bring that person into your office and have those conversations about soccer and things like that, it really makes a difference. And that's what I see is the biggest driver and the biggest difference is when there's a lot of communication, especially just at the beginning, right? And that's hard for offices. Like, why they're calling us is because they don't have a lot of time, right, Alan? Like, you're calling us because it's the office is running at 1,000,000 miles per hour. You don't have the time to do it. But really, if they're able to sit back and pause for a minute to get this person to be successful, then they can hit these numbers like you have, Alan, which has been so great to talk about. Sorry, were you going to say something?
I think it's, at the end of the day, they're like any other employee, right? We have to spend the time and energy to develop and grow them, because as they grow, your office will naturally grow too. And second off of what Trevor was saying, a big part of it was fit. Full transparency, I had, like Trevor said, I've had bad experiences before, and I think Aaron actually called Aaron at that time, and I was like, Aaron, I'm struggling. What is going on? And Aaron told me, if you're struggling, they're struggling too, and it might just not be the best fit. And literally the next person I hired, till this day, she's still with me, and like I said, she's a rock star. She answers all my emails, sections all my emails out.
Those are good emails. I've gotten some of those. Those are good.
She does our marketing emails now. Like,
oh, cool.
I used to do one marketing email every 3 months when I remember to, but now it's out every week, consistent. And she makes all my Excels look pretty. I can throw her an Excel sheet and I say, Loretta, I need help. Can you make it look pretty before I send this to the staff? Right?
That's
so
awesome.
She's got talents that I don't have, and the ability, kind of like what Aaron said, you want to put people in the position that they want to be in. And a big part is, if you're a doctor, well, let's turn our chairs and point our chairs towards the patient and actually talk to the patient instead of, hey guys, how's it going? Great, okay. And for my front desk side, pulling insurances, Aaron, we're in Vision Source, so Mac sheets. My optician doesn't like to use Macs. Guess what? Because they say, oh, I have to go in and punch it in beforehand. Well, all my virtual assistants will do that for you. Just type in that little number and all the Mac sheets will be pulled up. So it's about efficiency and flow and delegating the jobs that people, not that people can't do, but we can have other people do even better or happy to do it. So
yeah, well, it's putting the right people in the right seats for success, and leveraging those opportunities, which as an entrepreneurial practice owner is really tough to do sometimes, because you're trusting somebody else with your baby, and and I think that there's an inherent mental block that if I can't see you, you're not here with me. You're not physically part of my team. But in the global economy that we're in, really finding some of those right people who have the skills that I don't have. They took the business classes that I didn't take. They know the marketing strategies that I don't know, and so putting it on them to help and support the practice is makes us better, makes everybody better, and I really think it helps us expand the ability to do what we want to do, which is service patients, and provide that enhanced experience, that enhanced relationship, which I wanted to ask Alan, with 3 virtual team members, how do your patients interact with that? Because you have a diverse patient population as well, and I could be wrong, but I don't think that you have a ton of Latino population, right? So you've got a bunch of different, ethnic backgrounds, knowing where your practice is, working with your team in the office and your virtual team who is in South America. How do they respond to that?
Sometimes my patients come in and say, hey, I just spoke with Sophie. Where is she in our office? I'm like, oh yeah, about that. She's not here. And then because they're in South America, they're all fluent in Spanish. And let's just say my 7th grade Spanish teacher wouldn't be too proud of me, but I can get through an exam. If you say anything other than what I'm asking, I have no idea what you're saying. So it also allows me to have the ability to have someone who's fluent on Spanish right on my phone. Yeah, patients, so far, like I said, I've had Lorena for about a year, and it's actually over a year now where she's officially scribed for me. And I've still, till this day, introduce her to every patient, ask if it's okay if they're in there. Some people say, hey, my doc's already using someone like that, or they're using AI, or whatever it is. Some people, I think this whole year, I've probably had like one older gentleman who was like, I'm okay. I don't feel too comfortable with it. But that's one out of like 2,000 patients. So at this point, I even to myself, I'm like, is it even worth asking if it's okay for her to be in here, or should I just introduce her and be like, all right, we're moving on?
Moving on. Yeah.
So yeah, most patients don't have much pushback in terms of seeing that there is a virtual scribe in our office. Or I don't even say virtual at that point. He's my scribe.
So let me ask. I've got a question for you and then a question for Trevor. So the question for you, Alan, is how do you have her in the room? Is she on a like Google Meet so they can see her? Or is she on your computer so the patients can interact with her as well? Is she just in a headset? What's your physical setup with her?
Good question, because another Vision Source doctor who was just on your podcast, Dr. Tim Tran, I called him and I was like, hey, what are you doing? And what he told me was sometimes you can use Zoom can work. What I do is just Google Hangout. So my office runs on Google Workspace, and we just have a Google Hangout. Tim told me specifically to get the AirPods 2 that aren't the Pros. Because if you get the Pros, whatever the patient's speaking won't go into the headset.
Oh.
So you have to specifically get an AirPods 2. And that's what we've been using so far. So
okay.
I use the left ear, my associate doctor uses the right ear, and then we just trade off when we go in, and she's been helping us scribe doing that setup. So Google Hangout, and then by lunches we separate for lunch. So she's in my ear for 4 hours, an hour of lunch, and then 3 hours for the afternoon.
Okay. I like that. And then that really leads into, Trevor, your question, because it's, we still have to operate under HIPAA. We have to be compliant. And so, Alan, when you say Google Hangout, I'm assuming it's not the free Hangout. It's the paid workspace HIPAA compliant Hangout, right? Yeah. So that's covered. Trevor, because these aren't technically our employees, the technical relationship, walk us through briefly just the HIPAA compliance and how working with a virtual team member in a medical setting, it isn't non-compliant. It helps us stay compliant.
Yeah. Thanks for asking that, because that's a question that we love to answer here at Team, because we work with Joe Deloach, Peter Cass, Chris Wolf, PPP, John Rempakis, and the way that we got connected with Joe Deloach, if your audience is familiar with Joe, which I think that a lot of them will be, is Joe was looking at a lot of offices that were hiring people internationally and having them be these virtual team members. And the way that he saw it is it was a pretty big liability for offices. So when he heard about Team, we've been going for about 3 years now. Had a really big go-to-market push in the last 2 years. And when Joe first heard about us, and you can ask him if I'm telling the story wrong here, but he wanted to see like how we weren't being compliant. He wanted to come in and say, well, this is another one of those companies that's not doing it right. And so what he found was the way that we do it, where we're actually the ones that hire the employee and then contract them out to the office, is the ultimate way for the office to remain compliant. Just with Joe knowing international laws and regulations and taxes and things like that, and the complexities there, that's where a lot of the liability lies. And so at Team, what we do is we're the ones that are the throat to choke. We're the ones that take care of all of that stuff so that the office doesn't have to. So we're really trying to be this solution specifically for vision offices to to sign up these international grade employees pretty seamlessly. And so when you do get that account manager that we talked about earlier, there are certain technology checklists that we have to abide by when getting set up with international employees. Like you were talking about, having the preferred method of having Google Meet and using Google Workspaces, where it is safe for the office. We pay a pretty heavy insurance premium just to make sure that all of our offices are safe using international employees, and so that just isn't a worry that they have to go by. The cool part, the end part of the Joe Deloach story is they use us, right? So they have a few team members now that they've got up and running, and it's been really great for them. So.
Nice. Well, if you can make Joe happy on a compliance side, and I know Joe and Chris and John and Peter really well, and they do not set a low bar on anything.
Yes.
So no, I think that's very important to know, because it's easy to create efficiencies, but it's not easy to always stay compliant, and something that we don't like to think about, we don't always think about, but making sure that we're good. And that involves, I'm going to go off on a tangent a little bit, but that involves a lot of emails, because patients email us and ask for copies of records and copies of things. And so if your email system isn't a compliant, HIPAA compliant email, you run the risk of being in violation. And so having that expense for the team's making with the virtual team members, so that when they're communicating, it's safe. I'd strongly recommend, like Alan does, having a paid Google Workspace or Microsoft Teams or whatnot, another team name. But one of those email system that's compliant is important.
I was going to say, just to clarify, yes, I am on a Google Workspace that's paid.
Yeah.
So it's all protected. I pay Google enough at this point, so.
We, and then on another note too, Aaron, when we've had these conversations, he's been one of the ones that has really got us to start using team members and start to use that. So Aaron, it's part of our vocabulary because of you that we say team more. So
I like it.
You started this, man. You're making it so there's more team out there. So.
Yeah. No, I love it. Hey, getting away from the not exciting stuff like HIPAA, and beyond just a numbers ROI, Alan, what have you seen in staff morale and patient satisfaction, and burnout is a big word for doctors. Have you seen and noticed a difference in your team and patients and in yourself or your associate doctor working with a virtual team member?
So initially, when you bring on virtual team members, I think it's a little weird for your in-person staff, because they're like, oh, is this person coming in to take my job? And I'm like, no, guys, I'm just trying to make your job easier. What do you not want to do that I could have someone else do for you? And that took a little bit of an adjustment. And then eventually my team member, in-office team members, they get protected of my virtual team. They're like, these patients can't say this to them, and then they go and defend my team members. My associate doctor, let's just say she got spoiled really quickly. So now when she works at other offices, she's like, oh my God, I have to chart? And she's just not used to it anymore, right? Because 3 days in a week, you just have Lorena who will type everything, prepare your charts for you, and all you have to do is skim through it, hit the sign button, and sign, ready to bill and sign, and that's all you have to do. So it took a little bit of getting used to for them, but like anything, over time, and I tell my staff this all the time, it's all about education. If you get frustrated, hey, this person isn't doing X, Y, and Z, or can you chart this a little bit differently? I'm like, hey, Lorena, Dr. Cal wants you to chart this a little bit differently because her wording's a little different than mine. You can't put my wording in hers. and every doctor charts a little differently. So it's all about being open and that training portion. Kind of like what Trevor mentioned, it's like they can do the basics of optometry, but when they come into your office, your staff and every office has different systems and different ways they say things or do things, and that has to still be taught to them. You can't expect them to know that right off the bat. So it's a very big training process. But yeah, my staff loves them. They don't. I think one of them went on vacation, and the other one was sick, and then I was like, "Hey guys, we have to answer the phones." Oh, that was a long week, Trevor. I'm not gonna lie to you. By the end of the week, they're like, "When are they coming back? We need help." So yeah, they don't notice what is missing until they go on vacations or the staff needs to go on maternity leave and then now the actual in-person office team has to be like, the phones are going crazy today. I don't know what's going on.
One quick story, Aaron, if you
Please.
have a minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
We talk a lot with Leslie Gallagher, who's a Vision Source administrator in Kansas, and I really like when Leslie talks about virtual assistants and the virtual assistants that she has in her office. She does it really well. If anybody knows Leslie, she does it really well, just like you and Alan here. But when she brought up on the VAs at first, it kind of was that like, oh no, are they coming for my job? Like, I just don't know what's going to happen here. And so when Leslie, I was in a room with her, and she was talking about virtual assistants, and she said, you know what, if I had to lose I think her name was, I'll butcher it, so I'll just say Penelope. So Penelope, if I had to lose Penelope, I would rather lose my little finger, I'd rather lose that. Just that's how important she is to my office. And then she had her office manager in the room as well, and she said, well, how do you feel about having Penelope in the office? Like, has it been a good experience? And the office manager got up and said, I wouldn't just lose my little finger, I'd lose my whole left hand. Just the way that Leslie even presents it when she was bringing on some team members is, hey, you're getting an assistant, just like you talked about, Aaron and Alan. They want to be the ones that answer the phone. They want to do a lot of these tasks that aren't popular tasks, right? They are a little bit tiresome when the people in the office want to be working with the patients that are there in the office, as opposed to filling out spreadsheets and things like that. But we can find somebody that's good at spreadsheets, that's good at answering the phones and things like that. So the staff members actually get the virtual assistant even more so than the doctor do sometimes.
Yep. You divide the strengths, and I found that with Mariana, she helps me just in project management and keep me on task, and when do I need to do things, and keep me accountable in an accountability partner here. So, great discussion, and I want to just make a disclaimer. Obviously, Alan and I are both part of Vision Source. Some listening are, some are not. The unique thing about the community that we're in is sharing of ideas, and I've lost track of how many different names we've thrown out, but team is open to all. It's not just a Vision Source exclusive. So steal the if I can use Ton Mai's phrase, steal the ideas that we're sharing and that we've stolen from others to put into practice in your practice. What I really like, and we've got a few minutes left, Alan, you hit on this briefly in your article, and I think it deserves some more attention. I despise the phrase AI because I think it doesn't talk about what AI really is and how to use it. But AI is a big to-do right now. In fact, we're putting on the Gateway Tour that talks about AI and how to use those tools and really humanizes AI. And I think that sometimes, and I've heard people say, well, I'm not going to need employees anymore because in the future AI is going to do it all, which I completely disagree with. I think it's a wonderful tool to help us become more efficient. I think it's a tool that both our in-person teams and our virtual teams are going to be using. But the thing about private practice, and I'll debate anybody on this, the thing we can do better than anybody else is make connections. And that human-to-human personal connection, which doesn't have to be an in-person physical shaking of the hand. It can be very, very virtual and remote connection. In fact, sometimes those relationships are better from a healthcare transactional standpoint. But so my question to you, Alan, is, are you using any sort of AI tools? Is your virtual team members using any tools, and how are you integrating both of those into the practice?
Answer is every day. Every day. Pretty much every day. My team members use a program called Notion. Notion keeps, it's a task management software. Trevor's eyes got a little bit big. He was like, "What?" Well, actually, I think they found it themselves, and they all three of them are just, here's all the tasks we need to complete. Check all the box off, and they manually do it. The weekly emails, Weave has I don't know if it's just the version that I'm on, but Weave has a AI that does your Google reviews for you, but obviously you still need to proofread it a couple of times, just to make sure they're saying the correct responses. Weave also will allow you access to AI that does your marketing emails. So type in a topic, hit the AI button, it'll prompt out a templated, contact lens safety month or whatever, and then I'll do a structured breakdown of it. Aaron's question for AI. I think AI is just it's gonna make every employee just, instead of fill up the tanks a little bit more. So AI allows us, perfect English. We don't have to worry about proofreading people's emails before we send them out. And it's how we use it, instead of the fear of it's just going to replace us completely. I think that's the biggest part. And like I said, I tell my staff, I'm like, hey, use AI if you guys need it. Here's the paid version that I pay for. Here's my email and password. Use it, right? Because anytime anyone has a email that dear patient, the insurance kicked back X amount, this is the remaining statement balance, and they just needed to sound a little, better. Chris uses the story brand method, and it works like a charm. I'm like, wow, that sounds great. If I was the patient getting that, right? So there's ways of using AI and structuring it where it's advantageous for your staff members, and on top, they also have to learn to use it too. So I don't expect it to just be thrown out and, here guys, run wild. But this is what I do.
Yep.
So.
Yep. No, I hear you. Trevor, are you guys using any AI or large language model tools within your organization?
I think that the world just uses AI, right? I don't know anybody that's not on ChatGPT right now, right?
Yeah.
Or Grok. It is this revolution. It's so exciting. And so yes, we have tools right now, right? It helps us in our recruiting. When we are using that, it helps us filter through resumes. We get thousands of resumes, as you can imagine, right? When we have such a robust network. And so I think that these tools are super awesome, and we should definitely use them. I'm kind of a technology geek. I come from working at software companies before, and so it's something that I've paid a lot of attention to. And I look at the difference that a sewing machine made, right? When people were able to, instead of hand sewing something, they were able to have a sewing machine, and how efficient they were able to become. And I see that just with virtual team members too, Alan. If you have your team members and they're able to do this, and we have account managers that can help them get set up with compliant ways to use AI tools to be more efficient. I say, why not? So that's actually what we are looking at incorporating artificial intelligence and using tips and tricks for our team members to use to make your office run more efficiently. So again, one of the cool things about Team is we do a lot with our team members. We have them circle up and team up on best practices and things that they're seeing in their offices as well. And so they found different cool ways that they can use AI to, who hasn't used it to look over an email, to reply back. Yep. Especially if you're somebody that English isn't your native language, that's a tool that should be used and can be used to really make sure that you are presenting in the best way possible. Aaron, you said something interesting earlier in the conversation about how to book an appointment, it takes a long time, right? And part of that is you want the quality to still be there. You don't want that patient to feel like they're being rushed off the phone, right? That they are just being checked off. And so you want the quality to be there. So you want somebody that has the time and energy to take care of that. And that's the human connection that we're talking about. That's why it takes so long, because you're building relationships. So it's something that's really innate in us, that there's always going to be a human connection with people. That's what's made both of you, I'm sure, successful in business, as well as relationships between people. And that's just never going to go away. But AI can make us a lot more efficient.
Yep. No, absolutely. And that's, I assume that was your guys' both response. And I've just found that maybe it's who we've gotten as virtual assistants and virtual team members, but they tend to be, younger, more tech savvy, more social media savvy than certainly what I am. And so they've taken over a lot of the marketing. To Alan's point, I can throw some things over and say, here's what I'm trying to work on. Can you clean this up for me, and whatnot.
Google Workspace has Gemini. So if you pay for Google, it already, it's just this one little tiny button, and you just click on it.
Yep.
They showed me that. I didn't even know that. I was like, what? So now I guarantee you 90% of our emails, if it's sent by me, there's a lower chance of that AI button getting hit. But it's sent by them, I guarantee you almost every email has that little button that's clicked, just because I think they also, it's just a proofreader for them. Yeah. They use it as a proofreader to type up what they want to say, hit the button, and then it'll polish it up, make it a little bit more polite, and then send it out.
I'm a communications major, and I am very guilty of pushing the Gemini button. So that's something I do quite a bit.
I love it. It just, at the end of the day, really, it's more perspectives, more people helping us do what we do better, and that's serving our patients. So very cool. Alan, I don't know if you're going to listen to your own when this comes out, but we are getting close to the hour mark for the treadmill. So I want to respect everyone's time. Thank you both very much for making time to come on and chat. I really think that in our delivery of eye care to patients, right, using all the tools that we have available to us, using all the resources we have available to us, and finding the right people for the right job is going to be critical to continue delivering the care that we want to deliver in a more efficient manner, and in a manner that our patients want to receive that care. And that's meeting them where they are, and certainly virtual team members help that. So Trevor, please thank you and thank the rest of your folks at Team, with an A, TEAM, on how they're helping TEEM, how they're helping our TEAMs. See? Screwing it up.
There it goes.
But yeah, thank you for your teams helping our teams. I'll take care of our patients together. So I will link in the notes, Alan, your article, so people can really dive in and reach through it. Also a way to contact you, so if they've got questions, they can reach out. As well as some other links about things that we've talked about today.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Aaron.